everyone, this is Giulia Hepburn and welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk about the 16-80mm f/4 by Fujifilm, if it's a good lens for travel photography or not. Let's go! Welcome back to this channel where we talk about photography and everything in between. Today the topic is about a lens, a kit lens by Fujifilm, the 16-80mm f/4. I decided to bring with me this lens to my travel to Japan after a very long pondering about what kind of lens I should bring with me. The decision, I have to be honest, was quite difficult because recently I'm using more the 23mm and I think I'm finally starting to get used to this lens, and then thinking about changing to a different lens, a zoom lens, was quite a jump, to be honest. My experience with this lens during my trip to Japan was contrasting. During the first days I was not 100% sure how to, let's say, handle this lens again, because I'm so used to fixed lens at like 35 or the 23mm, and having a zoom, it was like very different. So this is a good advice if you're thinking of bringing a lens that you normally don't use for your trip. Just maybe practice a little bit, because your hands and your head and brain needs to go back to that mentality how to use that particular lens. So the first days I was not 100% confident about what I was doing. That was really freaking me out, because I'm very self-conscious about my criticism, but I really wanted to take a good picture, and I think Japan is like one of that location that you can really have like a bad picture. But everything that I was looking on the screen, I was like, oh, this is not good, this is not good. After like the first 2-3 days of like I'm not sure what I'm doing, I decided to relax a little bit more and just take it as it is, and basically using the zoom lens as a 23mm. So basically what I was doing was walking with my camera on a strap on my waist, fixing the lens on the 23mm, putting the focus between 7 and 8, and shooting from the hip. This actually helped me a lot to get again the confidence of shooting and like to get like some interesting picture. And I guess because again the focal was like similar to the one that I'm using like recently, I was feeling confident again. Of course, having a zoom lens has like a lot of benefit. For example, like if a subject is far from you and you don't want to get like maybe get spotted, you can use the zoom to get the details or be more like sneaky around, and it is a good way. I personally like doing a little mix of style where I'm more like shooting from the hip and as well as like shooting from a distance. I think this is kind of my balance right now. I like what I'm achieving while I'm doing these two types of photography. You may ask, or maybe not, why I decided to bring with me a lens that I was not using. So everyone would tell you not bring a lens that you're not using very often to a trip that like is once in a lifetime. Well, the decision was tough, as I told you, but the main reason was like I wanted a versatility. I wanted a versatility to shoot both street photography in the sense of shooting from the hip, as well as having more a distant approach and be more like focusing maybe on architecture, detail, texture, etc. And the zoom lens was my best option. I also have for Fuji Sigma 18-50mm 2.8. I was using this lens quite a lot, but at the end of the day, I thought that to be able to have the versatility that I was looking for, I needed to push it until 80mm. So this is the reason why I decided to bring with me the kit lens. Another issue that I incurred was the f.4 that is actually quite dark. Oh, guess what? This is like discovering the hot water, no? And because I was quite often out also during the night, and not all the area are with neon signs or like a strong source of light that I can use to compensate the f4, I have to push the ISO very, very high, and this was making me quite uncomfortable because I know that I was losing sharpness in the subject, but in the same time it was a compromise that I have to do it because there was no other chance. The other option was not to shoot, but I didn't like this option, so at least I tried to compensate the f.4 with the ISO. I pushed down a little bit the shutter speed, but not that much, because at the same time I was almost often with subjects that were moving, so was like quite a challenge, to be honest. Now that I'm in the process of editing all my picture, I can see the issues, and I was wondering if having like a better zoom lens with a wider aperture would help me, and I think the answer is yes, of course. But also I thought it depends really on what type of photography you are planning to do. In this trip I was out basically from the morning until the very late night. I was in Japan not to do a photography trip, just purely photography. I was there also to enjoy myself, to visit stuff. I didn't want to bring with me a bag that was massive with thousands of stuff. My bag was already quite heavy because I was bringing with me a film camera, the Osmo Pocket, and like films, etc, etc. So it was already quite like a heavy bag to carry every day. Thinking about having a second lens with me, it was not what I was looking for. I wanted to be light, I wanted to be able to switch from film camera to my digital camera and vice versa, having the possibility also to capture subject closely as well as far. So the 16-80mm was the best option for the lenses that I own. Will I suggest this lens for a travel photography experience? From one side, I would say yes, because it's a lens that gives you the versatility. You're pretty much covered of what you would like to cover during your day, during your trip. On the other side, if you're maybe a photographer that would like to be more out during the nighttime, I would invest in a different lens that is definitely more brighter. But if you're like maybe a casual shooter, or if you're thinking between which kit lens of Fujifilm to choose, I would definitely choose this one because it gives you more option. I don't know how many times I say option or versatility. You can count it and let me know in the comments. So far, am I happy with the images that I got? I think I am. It's like the suspense. I think I am. Of course, criticism and imposter syndrome is always very high here, but I think I am. Like, as I told you, pushing the ISO was a bold decision that I would not recommend. But I was quite confident that right now we have the tools that actually help us to get kind of the sharpness back and to fix a little bit like the noise. Unless, again, is the type of stuff that you would like to achieve in your picture, like a lot of noise, so you can push your ISO very high with this lens and achieve the look that you wanted. Would I choose this lens again for a future trip? This is actually a big question that I was wondering about after all these days in Japan. Honestly, I think I would like to try the actual Fujifilm zoom lens 2.8 because I was missing a little bit the light that I wanted, especially when it's like dusk, night time. I think this lens has a lot of pro and quite a few cons, to be honest, but it really depends what kind of photographer you are, what you would like to achieve and what you're looking for. As I told you, I was looking for something light, something versatile and something that I don't need to change. I actually did the job that I wanted. For some picture I really wanted to have more light, but you know, you cannot have everything if you just choose to have one lens. That's it for today's video. Let me know in the comment section below if you have this lens, what do you think, if you would consider it as a good travel photography lens. And remember also to like and subscribe. I have a list of videos planned and a lot to talk about and a lot to show you about this trip in Japan, from film photography to like challenge that I did. So I really would like you to stay connected with me. Thanks very much for watching this video and I see you next time. Ciao!